there isn't many players that are like Trae Young in the NBA. And I, just like the Atlanta Hawks, understand that. I'm not saying Trae Young is the best, but what I'm saying is there aren't many players like Trae Young just walking around. Being that quick. I understand height is a thing, but being that quick, having the hand dribble ability that he has, having the court vision that he has, and having the range that he has. There aren't many Trae Youngs walking around. And for that, I understand why the Atlanta Hawks may not want to let him go. But I also understand the frustration of, we understand that there's not many. You know what it is? The worst thing that could have happened to the Atlanta Hawks Trae Young relationship is, was it 2020 or 2021? 2021, when the Atlanta Hawks made it to the Western Conference Finals. The Eastern Conference Finals. That is the worst thing that could have happened to this Trae Young and Atlanta Hawks relationship, because it birthed unrealistic expectations. It birthed the expectation that the Atlanta Hawks are a top-tier team and Trae Young is a superstar. And because of that, we should be perennial conference finals. We should be a perennial conference finals team. No. On a lot of those fronts. Trae Young is great. He is not a superstar. Trae Young is a star. He is an all-star. He is not a superstar. Atlanta is nowhere close, even though they do have an infusion of young talent, whether we talk about Bogdanovich, whether we talk about DeJounte Murray, Clint Capella, but they are not a conference championship team, even with Trae Young playing as good as he can play. I mean, as we speak, Trae Young is averaging 26 points a game, which is 11th in the NBA. And he's second in assists. He's averaging 26 and 11 pretty much. But there's a reason why almost every offseason cycle, almost every trade deadline cycle, almost every trade manager, when they come out the woodworks, there's a reason why Trae Young's name is almost always there. I said that when they made the conference finals in, I think, 2021, it bred unrealistic expectations for this team. And seeing as though they haven't been anywhere close since, probably has birthed frustration, not just with the Atlanta organization, but with Trae Young. Again, players understand what's up. Players understand if you're not really in the mindset, in the position to try to win. You can say you are, but actions speak louder than words. And when you trade arguably your second best player in John Collins, or when your current second best player in DeJounte Murray is on the trade block, that should tell you everything you need to know. And when you have a player as good as Trae Young, I would understand that they would probably want to win. And I understand Trae Young is, how old is he? 25 years old. So he's still very young. But there comes a point where you want to play for more. When you get a taste of something that you haven't had that is extremely good, you want more of that. And again, that's why I said it's a blessing and a curse that the Atlanta Hawks made it to the conference championship in 2021. I think that this is the last year. Now you hear, which is crazy, you hear former players, you hear current players talking about the Trae Young situation and saying how, quote unquote, toxic it is. Look, when both people are upset in a relationship, sometimes they do things that are uncharacteristic. They're upset. That doesn't mean that, that doesn't mean that they're terrible people. They just do things out of anger. And I haven't really heard much of any great story from Trae Young or Trae Young between the relationship of Trae Young and Atlanta outside of them paying him. But I think that this is the last year we're going to see Trae Young in an Atlanta Hawks jersey. It just doesn't seem. It doesn't seem like. It seems like there's frustration on both sides. And it doesn't seem like neither side is willing to not only be honest with themselves, but be honest with the situation at hand. If you understand where you are, because again, I think that Atlanta is looking at Trae Young as you are a superstar, so we should be better than we are, even though, in my opinion, he's not. Or you're looking at him and saying, Trae Young, you led us to the conference championship. Why haven't we been anywhere since? And again, you have to understand who Trae Young is. Trae Young is a offensive savant. That's about it. And that's no offense and no disrespect to Trae Young. That's just honesty. I just think that this is going to be the last year. I could be wrong, obviously, but I think that this is going to be the last year that we see Trae Young in a Atlanta Hawks jersey. And I think that, I don't know if they'll be able to afford him, but you want to go to a team. Trae Young he's not one of those players that, as unfortunate as it is, I think superstars are the only players that you can honestly build a team around and they can be a championship caliber team. And again, I don't think Trae Young is that. I think Trae Young is great, but Trae Young, in my opinion, is a solid second option. And when I mean solid second option, I think he is a great first option, but I don't think he's a championship first option. I think he would be a championship second option. So you hear now, I don't think they would be a championship caliber team if he went here. Let me first say that. But put Trae Young on someone like the San Antonio Spurs, where he is obviously not the first option. The first option is Victor Wembanyama. I think that you'd get the best out of Victor Wembanyama. I think that you get the best out of Trae Young. Say Trae Young went to the Lakers. I think that the Lakers have struggled mightily at the point guard position, and they struggle shooting the ball. Where you get both in one, So it just feels like this is going to be the last year that Trae Young's in an Atlanta Hawks jersey. And it feels like this needs to be the last year because this marriage has run its course. So we'll see, though, man. I'm very interested because he's not the only player. He's not the only player like that. Like, obviously, we're not talking about it in this episode, but we'll see what happens with Klay Thompson at the end of this year. We'll see what happens with DeJounte Murray. I mean, he was just in trade talks. We'll see if I don't know, man. It's interesting to see. Oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.